All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. We need a motion to allow Trustee O'Connor to attend remotely because she's out of town on business. So moved by Trustee O'Reilly, seconded by Trustee Kritzmeyer. Roll call, please.
Trustee O'Reilly.
Aye.
Trustee Kritzmeyer.
Aye.
Trustee Tanucci.
Aye.
And Village President Jago.
Aye. Motion carried. All right, let's all rise for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The second item on the agenda was we were going to recognize Sheldon Rubin for his nearly 30 years of service. And unfortunately, he's not here tonight. He was feeling a little under the weather, so we'll get him at the next meeting. Next thing and Brett Smith, are you here by any chance? Is he here? Brett Smith, are you online anywhere? The next item on the agenda is to appoint Brett Smith as a commissioner, Plan Commission, the PCZBA, and we approved him as a board about 3 years ago as the secretary. He loves Long Grove. I didn't realize that I do the turkey trot every year. He does the turkey trot. He does the Prairie State Half Marathon. He comes well recommended by the Plan Commission, and he's been pretty reliable person at the commissions through COVID and all. And I would just ask for, as customary, we usually take somebody that's a secretary and make them a commissioner, and I would look for your support in appointing him as a commissioner. Mm-hmm. By Trustee O'Reilly, seconded by Trustee Kritzmeyer?
Yes, second.
Trustee O'Reilly.
Aye.
Trustee Kritzmeyer.
Aye.
Trustee O'Connor.
Aye.
Trustee Tanucci.
Aye. All right, motion carried.
Did we do her yet?
Yeah, we did. We admitted her. Yeah, you made the motion.
Nope.
We're good. All right, moving along. Either online or in person, we have homeowners associations here today, I think, is George Meschbach from, I think it's supposed to be Martin Woods, not Martin Woods. Are you here today? Or online? He's not. He was on it. He's on it. Okay, got it. And maybe you told me that. What about Ed Marr from Brookstone? I take that as a no. Okay, so now the moment everyone's been waiting for, maybe, is the public comment. I know that there's two topics that there's a lot of interest in, and I would just ask that during the public commentary to try to limit it to 3 minutes, and then if it's a redundant comment, just don't repeat it or just say my comment is I agree with what has been said. And if you could state your name, address, that would be ideal too as well for the record. So I'll open it up to public comment both online and in person. Maybe we'll start in person if we can. Who has public comment?
Oh, I guess we're done.
No, go ahead. Yes.
My name is President Matthew, and I'm from 4369 Oakley
Okay.
Village. My concern is about the signs that are used for the zoning. Whenever they advertise one of those things, right now, you guys just have a small, kind of flimsy political type sign, and especially in the winter, there's no trucks will buy and stuff like that. It won't take much for those to get destroyed or covered up. So should the village invest in some more heavy-duty zoning signs?
Usually, if I'm correct, aren't they provided by the petitioner and they have to our specifications, or no?
I'll just answer it. We have bigger signs, we just made
Okay.
it, so we're all right.
So you'll have bigger signs, floor sign, okay. Yeah, and that's not on the agenda tonight, and there's nothing even in front of the Plan Commission, but understand the concern, so thank you. Thanks for being here. There was a question back there, yeah? Or comment?
Bill Brand, 5219 Briarcrest Lane, Briarcrest. I was at the last Planning Commission meeting, and everybody here, most of us know what the facts should be, but they're reviewing. They're trying to build a new fire department on that land, as we all know. The problem is that at the last meeting, the fire chief admitted that the 25% of the calls are going to the old age homes, or the people that need it most, 1 out of 4. The present building is west, closer to them than the new facility will be. The planning commission had diagrams showing how the service to the people, which is the number one reason why you can change the zoning, the safety of the people, is not improving in delivery. It just isn't. So, but they claim it is. Also, a lot of people know or don't know that we're not getting any more ambulances or vehicles of any sort. You're not getting more personnel to serve the village any better. You're getting a 40-some-odd thousand square foot building with 6,000 square feet of offices, interfering with wetlands. We have no studies. We have no studies of what could be interfered with. Now, I read the letter from the attorney that's here that basically gave us, we looked at 8 different places. We looked at plot 1, plot 2, blah, blah. And trust us, here are the reasons why it's no good. Not an address, no telling us where, no independent studies. An attorney decides, trust me, this is good, we can just do it? No. You're also interfering with possible property values, okay? Somebody said, well, I bought a house near the old fire department and it was fine. Well, that's fine, he knew it was there. We, and most of you, came to Long Grove because you wanted larger lots, a little peace and quiet, and I didn't expect, and the people around this area didn't expect the fire department to be built right there. Then you have a certain amount of noise, a certain amount of sirens, a certain amount of everything. Then they're gonna pull out and have to go, let's say they have to go to make a right-hand turn out of there. They're gonna interfere with the intersection of 83 and Aptekistick, which, as you know, bottlenecks all the time. So here they are pulling out, cars can't move out of their way, and then they're gonna go further. They're moving further away. What the fire department we have now functions, they have 3 ambulances, of which only 2 are manned. One just sits there. We don't know all that. And there's never been any independent studies to show us anything as to where it's rolling. So then they said at the last meeting, don't worry, there won't be any noise. But what comes up? The discussion of, oh, we're gonna build berms for the noise. Wait a minute, is there noise or not noise? Is this something that you need to spend $17 million on? It only passed by 5 votes, by the way, the bond. And then you've got a lot of people's hands in this deal, okay? As pointed out at the last planning meeting. Why were you rushed? Because the seller of the property needed to try to close as quickly as possible for the benefit of who's got their hands in this thing. So the main question here is, what is the benefit? Property value, no. Interfering with wetlands, yes. The planning commission, Mrs. Wilkinson right here, asked at 2 different meetings, bring details of the other places we wanted. And at the last minute, she can vouch, they did not. They brought their attorney, who laid out all this stuff. The one you have worked, the roof's not falling down, and it's more centrally located. They can pull out and go either way without bottlenecking that area that's going to be a problem. So you've got a lot going on here. The village doesn't want it, at least the residents don't want it. That's obvious. And people, you're turning Long Grove into Buffalo Grove pretty soon. You put up the shopping center where there's Sunset, I get it. Now you want a fire station. What's going to happen on the corner where the Bailey Bunyan's up for sale and all that property? Are we going to rezone it? And the only rightful way you have to rezone it is for increasing the safety and benefit of the population. And you're not. It's already been discussed, you're not. Now, I know I read the letter, the 15-page letter. Yes, we are by 2%.
Yeah.
Says who? Says who? You?
So can I ask you to finish, because
Yeah.
you're
Okay.
kind of
Yeah.
going all over the place here, but it's a great
basically,
point, so thank
these are
you.
just the fact that there hasn't been any reasonable proof by independent studies why this is a benefit to the community. Just hasn't happened.
Thank you for your comment, appreciate it. Other public comment? Oh, you were the last one, too.
Steve Ernstein. I'm at 5147 Bridlewood in Bridlewood, obviously. A couple of points to add on to his message, which is all valid. The property values, aside from the issue, which I voted for it, again, I said it last time.
Yeah.
I voted for a new station to be built, not for a replacement station. That's what I thought I was doing. At any rate, this new location is putting that fire station closer to two separate Buffalo Grove fire departments. I don't understand the logistics, but I certainly know from living off of that to Kissett for 3 years, that it is not fast to turn left and try to get onto 53 to go to that senior center. I tried to do it this morning at 7:30, it took me 15 minutes, and yes, I don't have sirens, but if I did, I'm sure I could get there faster, but it would be louder. So it's not an exciting prospect in my head to see this come to fruition. We have no information on the cost of this building. We don't have a plan for what said building will look like, although that we have an idea as to how big it will be. We know that it's gonna have 46 spaces, but for whom? Who needs to be there with all this land and all these spaces? We don't know the design plan for the landscape. We don't know too much for a $17 million project to be approved. If it was my backyard and I was building a deck, I'd have to have that whole thing laid out in order to get it approved. Because I know I just built a deck, and I just had approval for my plans for remodeling my house, which just got through. So I know there's a lot of procedural play in here that I'm not seeing in a project of $17 million. It's very scary in my mind, and my project was significantly less expensive. The study for the traffic that was done to bring up that one point, I believe the one that was shown to us in a couple meetings ago was actually using the Bailey Bunyan address, which is on 83 already. So in the event that that's actually the case, which is what I was led to believe, I can't imagine how moving the station even further east could be faster than when they're already on Route 83 trying to move through traffic. Again, which backs up well past Bailey Bunyan most days. It's a scary thought, so I'll end it with that. And
Thank you.
somebody else.
Thanks for your comment.
Thank you.
Other comments in the room, or please?
My name's Scott Green. I happen to be an attorney, but I'm not here for that purpose. I'm a resident of Briarcrest. So I'm adjacent to where the proposed fire station would be. I haven't been to the Plan Commission meeting, so I don't know what evidence was given in the past. But when I look at the village code, it couldn't be any clearer that in order for the special use permit to be granted, the owner or applicant has the burden of establishing by competent evidence, among other things, that there will not be a substantial injury to the values of the properties in, adjacent to where the fire station is going to be. It's a burden of proof requirement. I'm not aware that there's been an appraiser who's come in and rendered an expert opinion as to that fact. Has there been one?
No.
So, that's their burden, nobody else. The second thing is, as to the alternative locations, the village code also says that the Plan Commission must consider alternate locations. It doesn't say may, it's not permissive, it must. So it can't simply defer to the fire district's recitation of certain factors in this letter that came from the attorneys. I don't know the location of these parcels. We don't have the underlying data for any of the findings concerning the factors. So until that's been established, the Plan Commission has nothing to consider, but it must before the permit can be issued. That's all I have.
Thank you for your comment. Other comment in the room? Anyone online have any comments? All right, I'll keep us moving. Thank you, everyone. The next item on the agenda is the public safety report. Lieutenant Kaiser, you want to?
Real quick, I'll change up the mood.
Maybe, depending on what you're going to talk about.
So the sheriff's office has two speed boards out right now. One on Checker Road, the other one's on Oakwood. They're collecting data from both directions.
Good.
So that might help with further discussions for, traffic calming later on. I have them out there for a couple weeks. This weekend, we got a couple complaints for noise from Brothers Field. Some of you are aware of that already. And I think, communication has been made with, the Downtown Association, to get with them about the noise issues. And also lastly, if anybody knows of anybody that's hiring, the sheriff's office is hiring about 30 deputies right now. That's about 2/3 of the people in this room. So they can go online to the county's website. Starting salary is just under $90,000. If anybody's interested, if you know anybody, have them check it out online.
Can you do that, Art? Is that something you want to do?
Maybe.
We have no age.
There's an age problem, right?
Great benefits.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Keith? All right, we'll keep us moving, lots to do tonight. We have a consent agenda, and on the consent agenda, we have the August 2023 bill warrant. We have, I did record this, right? I was just looking. Consideration approval of the executive session meeting minutes from the August 8th, 2023 meeting. We have consideration approval of the executive session minutes from the August 10th, 2023 meeting, and then consideration approval of meeting minutes from the August 22nd meeting. And then there was also executive session minutes for that evening as well. And then we have ratification and authorizing new signatories with Greg leaving and Art coming in, both for Harris Bank and Northbrook Bank and Trust Company. So are there any questions, or does somebody want to make a motion to approve? Moved by trustee O'Reilly,
Second.
seconded by trustee
I have a
Kritzmeyer.
question about the bill warrant. There was an email communication. The grant was approved last year, about 15 months ago, for Brothers Field. It shows that the check was just written very recently.
Yes.
More than a year after the grant. Is that
There were some email communications, I think it got overlooked, and so just before, prior manager Jackson, he went through and looked at all of that, and so I was copied on all of that. There was no check ever issued,
Okay, good.
so that did get checked.
Just wanted to make sure it wasn't duplicated.
It was not.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
All right, we have a live motion.
Second?
Yep, who seconded?
Trustee O'Reilly.
Aye.
Trustee Kritzmeyer. Aye. Trustee Jamil.
Aye.
Trustee O'Connor.
Aye.
Trustee Tanucci.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. You guys here? Yeah, he had texted me and said he was
I didn't hear him, yeah.
stuck in traffic, so he was gonna get here late, so he arrived and we got going, so thanks for being here. All right, so moving right along, we have the village planners report. Taylor?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. The village planners report is included in the agenda packet that's available online. We had no meetings of the plan commission or the architectural commission since the last village board meeting, so no further updates or new items of business under those two meetings. You see the report online again. We'll talk about the Long Grove Fire Protection District on Aptekissic Road, the proposal there in just a moment under the discussion item, that's item 15 on the agenda. One other note though, real quickly, it's 4359 Illinois Route 22. There's a application in with village staff for a religious facility at that location, special use permit. That's a item that's still in continuation while we wait for the petitioners to complete their application. They have some loose ends kind of tie up with that. So if anyone's interested in that case, still a continuation. When a date is selected, once their petition is complete, it will be noticed again. Mailings will go out. It will be noticed in the paper as well as the village website.
Hey, can I ask Dick to make a comment on that too? So, do we really have an application before us right now? We don't have an application before us, correct?
Oh,
You're muted.
we do have an application before us. It's incomplete. And as a result, it is filed. They've, they are in the queue, but they haven't yet delivered all of the required materials.
Okay, so,
Have they delivered anything in the last 2 weeks?
I don't,
okay,
I'm not aware of that. Maybe Taylor has a better understanding of that.
Sorry, perhaps you just didn't hear me. No, they have not. I understand they're still working towards it, so.
Taylor, anything else?
No, I think this is my question. I'm happy to take any questions, Bill.
Any questions? All right, if not, we'll keep moving along. This is the topic that a lot of people are here for tonight. Discussion of the zoning petition from the Long Grove Fire Protection District, 5159 and 5161 Aptekissick Road for a special use permit to permit a fire station within the R2 zoning district. It was, through the planner's report last week, we did start some discussions on it. It was denied by the Plan Commission. There's several different things that we can do here, right? One is we can draft a resolution. By the way, no action can be taken tonight because we have nothing on the agenda to take action, but we can at least discuss it and come up with a plan of how to proceed. One of them is we can just draft a motion simply to deny it, and and then it would have to be resubmitted or something if need be. The other thing was we could remand the petition back to the Plan Commission for further information collection and discussion, and then or the board could allow additional information to be provided to us so that we could consider the attributes and advance this thing forward. So I think, Vic, those are the three options we have before us right now, right? I see you nodding. Am I missing any?
There may be variations on the theme, but those are the three basic approaches before us.
So there was a series of questions that were generated from the last meeting, and there's material that's in the board packet. It should be all posted online too with some of that information, because there was a lot of unanswered questions, which is some of the stuff came up here today. And so I don't know where to begin here with the board on, who wants to take the lead in discussing what we've seen, what we've heard, and, what you'd like to do here, right? So does anyone want to, break the ice and say something, or?
I guess I'll get started. Of the three options, the picture looks different today than it did 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we knew not very much. And that means the Plan Commission had even less than what we did. So I don't want to say no, but I also, for process reasons, think this needs to go back to the Plan Commission in a normal way that we would do had this just begun. We wouldn't be here. It would be there. So I think for that reason and the volume of information that we've gotten, I think it needs to go back to them.
All right, thank you for your thoughts. I can go either way, whoever wants this.
I'm still torn, I guess, at some level. I'm not sure. I completely agree. I very much want to respect the process of the Plan Commission. This is, we've had the privilege of some comments from council that are, kind of talking about our duties and so forth, where the fire district is a slightly different animal than you or me putting in a new deck. They're their own district. It's a different kind of thing. It's a permitted use. So, I would be willing to go back to the Plan Commission with a lot of that prepping of the same thing, of this is a different animal. It is not subject to the same kinds of legalities that you read with your different kind of attorney-trained ear. And that means that they're not a creature of the village. They are their own. They come to us because of the nature of how our zoning is, but they're not a creature of us. We do not have a say-so on how they spend $17 million. That was up to the voters by 5 or however many it was, but that is not ours to say. And so, what we're here for is to say, all right, from a special use permit, it's actually fairly narrow, if I'm understanding it, on not second guessing their things, giving the plan commission, definitely more than they had. There was no part of me that thinks that that was an erroneous error on their part in the past. But I think that this is not the same kind of animal, and so that's one thing that concerns me, is making sure that if we do remand it back to planning, that kind of, apples and oranges is well understood for their careful review.
Okay, thank you for that. I can go online with Trustee O'Connor, or we can go this way, and
You can go ahead, she's in the middle, she's on the screen, so.
Trustee O'Connor, you've been picked to make some comments if you choose to do so.
Sure.
Or share your thoughts.
Well, I'll share a few of them. For the folks who have said that we haven't had specific addresses for the other properties that were considered, I would like to posit that they don't have to give us that. And if they did, it could harm them in the future if we turn them down for other owners of whatever targeted locations they're looking at. It would tip their hand. It would be like me asking one of my clients to, tell the person who owns the property they're making an offer on that, oh yeah, by the way, I'm looking at this, and this. I mean, it's just, I think it's unrealistic to expect an answer to that. I can also, for what it's worth, point out that there are communities, lots of communities in our area that have firehouses right in the middle of residential areas. Nobody has had a negative property value reaction to the presence of the fire department. If you look at Deer Park, Buffalo Grove, Palatine, Arlington Heights, Barrington, the firehouses are surrounded by residential homes. I have never had anybody say to me, gee, I don't want to live here because I might hear the fire trucks going out. Mostly they say, oh my God, this is fabulous. If I'm having a heart attack or if my house is burning down, the closer the better. For whatever that information is worth, I would offer that. I do feel we should send it back to the PCZBA. I'd like to follow the process. I'd like to have them hear it out, come to us, and go forward from there.
All right, thank you for your comments. Trustee O'Connor? You're next to me, so you're...
So it's my understanding that the PCZBA denied the petition largely, if not entirely, due to lack of information. Since that time, more information has come in, and I think it's proper to let them look at that information, conduct their normal process with the full slate of information, render their verdict up or down, and then bring it back to us to make the final decision.
All right, thank you. Dr. Jamil?
Yeah, I agree. I think we should follow the process. As far as a quick question to the residents is, even if they provide us the alternate parcels, which they have looked, and this problem is gonna come back again to the board because the residents object again. So, the fire, the protection district, they had the poll done, and overwhelmingly, I understand that, the voters have approved it. So I think my perspective is clear. I think, as Ann pointed out, that is a different entity, the fire protection district. So I think they have their own way to function. If they don't provide the information, what is sought by the planning commission, then ultimately the board has to make a decision, but I want to follow the process with the planning commission, to get all the information, get it in writing, if they are able to provide the alternate places which they sought before they chose this one. If they give it in writing that these are the places they sought and this is the most convenient way, then the board can take a decision after following the process.
Well, so I'm sensing that, I guess, let me step back. Everyone's saying it should go back to the plan commission, right? And to have it looked at again. But now my question's gonna be, and I think it's a fair question, did we get all the information that they need? Or is it our, and maybe Vic, you can coach me on this, or is it our responsibility right now to make sure that all that information's there?
I have questions I have some questions also, and I'd like Vic to address sort of minimum needed, as
Yeah.
well as there's a practicality here.
Right.
Of not going up things. Can we say, look, they have to follow stormwater things and so forth, absent a wetlands plan, they're gonna have to do one eventually. That one, they will have to, but those sorts of things on where in the sequence can we ask ourselves in the planning commission to think about it?
Yeah, I'll be happy to address that. As you may recall, when we have had plan unit developments come before us, we don't have full-blown engineering plans for that. We don't have full-blown architectural plans for that. Yet that's the point at which we grant the zoning approval that they can move forward on. And if you go back to any of our preliminary PUD ordinances, you'll see that they are just laden with conditions that need to be satisfied before they can break ground or get any kind of other permits. And then, that has an extra step baked in with a final PUD, but even with final PUDs, we often have many conditions. Our special use permits, and one of the things about special use permits, the Supreme Court of Illinois has says, well, they're actually permitted uses, but it's the special conditions that need to be imposed on them so that they don't have an undue adverse impact on surrounding properties. And so we have customarily put conditions on, and I think one of the things that is notable to me is that there is always a risk that if you don't make the conditions, if you don't satisfy them, you're not going to be able to move forward, and your effort has been perhaps in vain. The more information that is provided, the clearer the path is to satisfying all the conditions. The fewer, the lesser amount of information makes those conditions mount up. So there's a choice that the Fire Protection District has made with the information they've given. I think that they technically have checked all the boxes. It certainly is not the most fulsome application that the village has ever received, but it does meet the minimal requirements. And to the extent we still have more particularized questions regarding engineering, including the specific drainage plans, wetland compliance, traffic matters, all of that will still have to be addressed either as conditions for engineering review and approval, or if they come forward with additional information, it can be vetted at the Plan Commission and then ultimately the village board. So it's not an unusual process to have something approved without detailed information as to every category identified in the zoning code. But the difference is that there will be more conditions to be satisfied and greater risk that something may happen that they cannot satisfy those conditions.
All right, thank you, Vic.
So I have a follow-up question for Vic. Do the Fire Protection District has to provide the alternate parcels which they have looked their budgeting process in detail of why they chose this one rather than going?
A couple of things come into play with that standard, especially as it has been interpreted by the courts. That standard is really one of whether or not the location proposed is going to have a materially different effect on neighboring properties than that use located in another spot. So, I'm struggling as I sit here to identify what might be something different, but let's say that there was a nursery school right next door, and the noise was something that was particularly jarring to young children from the sirens. That may mean that the location chosen has a more particularized adverse impact to surrounding properties than if it were in any other residential neighborhood. So, I think that we are challenged by the courts not to say, have you looked at other places? That's not really the relevant question. The relevant question is whether or not there are other locations that would have different or lesser impacts than this one. I think one of the things that we have seen from the letter from the Fire Protection Districts Council is that they did evaluate a number of different things. One other thing to add, because this is a governmental unit, even though we have zoning authority over them, the Supreme Court has made it very, very clear that municipalities, in exercising their zoning authority over other units of local government, have to be respectful of the mission of those units of local government. And so we can't stand in their shoes and say, no, we think this is a better location for purposes of citing a fire protection district. What we can do is to say, no, this is a particularly bad location because of X, Y, and Z, which don't generally apply to most any other site. I think that's a very different type of analysis than, what have you looked at and whether we agree with their conclusion as to the efficacy of those other sites.
We know what's missing.
Vic, the question was, do we know what's missing? And I think right now,
I think he said it.
everything we have
Minimally checks all boxes.
checks all the boxes.
It checks enough that it would be reasonable on us to proceed with a lot of, but these future things.
But,
if one were to look at the zoning code, at the application requirements, they have submitted something with respect to each of the various application requirements. Some of them are really thin, I think it's fair to say. Others are fairly substantial, but they certainly have checked the box. I will also note that the zoning code does allow waiver of some of those requirements for purposes of moving forward. I don't think that a waiver is technically required, but again, because some of these submittals are thin in terms of the information provided, I would anticipate that any approval would have pretty demanding conditions as to supplemental information so that all of the things can be fully evaluated and found to be satisfying all of our code requirements.
Helen gotten this information?
Well, Helen, you're here, so you can speak.
I have downloaded everything that they have provided, including everything that's brand new that they presented for tonight, which we had not seen.
That's what I
Plan
meant.
Commission.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't either till, Saturday, but.
Right, so you'd be ready to go with it.
Yes, as a Plan Commission, we could review this. I agree with what Vic has said, that there are things that are extremely thin in terms of their, presence. And I certainly would want to, one of the things that many people have brought up is a concern over traffic. And the corner of Aptekissick and 83 is virtually gridlocked several times a day, which make it an extremely difficult situation. And everyone on the Plan Commission was scratching their heads in terms of that. And no data has been supplied with respect to that issue. There is no traffic information.
Vic, I have a question for Vic. In your experience, what kinds of conditions have you seen with another government with respect to traffic? And I may have a question also for the fire department on what sway do you have with Aptekissick's a county road and 83 is a state road? What sway do you have for signal control, additional signals, additional lanes, things like that.
It's a two-parter, so if you,
Yeah,
Vic, you want to answer the?
Vic first.
Let me offer my part of that question first. I think that in terms of conditions, I mean, we would certainly require all of the permitting to be required now, or to be obtained. Keep in mind, neither of the roads that you mentioned, and the one that they front on in particular, are under our jurisdiction. Lake County
No.
is the road jurisdiction for Aptekissic, and IDOT for 83. Ordinarily, Lake County, in order to grant someone an access permit, and the degree of the access permit, is it right in, right out? Is it a full interchange? Things like that, does require a more particularized traffic study. There was a reference to some material that we received that Lake County had undertaken or has information regarding the traffic. I have not seen that specifically, and I don't know whether Village Engineer Perry has seen it, but they did indicate that there's some information out there. And certainly as part of the work that the county is ongoing with Aptekissic, my guess is that they have given some review. I don't know how that has dovetailed with the fire protection district. But among the conditions that we would also include is that, to the extent that any roadway authority is going to require either installation of, or adjustments to, or enhancements of any of the impacted intersections for that site, that the district would have to make, would have to be the one who foots the bill for that. And so that is something that we have routinely required, that, the intersection and access improvements are the responsibility of the petitioner. And so that's among the things that we would have. I think that we would also require, as a threshold matter, that the village engineer has reviewed and approved the traffic configuration, and that would be something that would be running parallel to the county's review of the access permit.
The question then goes to the fire department, right, about what relationships you have, or, how would you handle some of these things?
Sure. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adam Hidova. I'm an attorney with Hudson Denoco. I represent the Lunenburg Fire Protection District. So hello to everyone. To answer your question, we have done time response studies, which is one of the primary ways that Fire Protection District analyzes their ability to meet the needs of the public. Essentially, what this study boils down to is what percentage of the area that we service is able to be serviced within 6.5 minutes of a call. And our current station, we can service 72% of our...
You can assume everybody's read it.
Right.
So...
I don't think that was the question.
That was not the question.
No, the question more is about, it's very congested in that area. So go ahead. Thanks, Chief Segala.
Right now, every traffic signal within the village of Long Grove has a traffic signal preemption device on it, installed by the fire district, I should mention, and maintained by the fire district, even though it's used by other entities, including our sheriff. It's just something that we did at the initial phases of putting those emitters on all of our vehicles. So the vehicle can activate that. With the new station, it'll be a computerized device that would actually activate the signal green for us based on our dispatch. So for dispatch, and it's going to impact that intersection, the light would turn green for us upon our dispatch, and it would, if we're going south, it would make the light green in front of Sunset. If we're going north, it would change the other signal to green. But our vehicles will also do that as well. So it'll stay green for as long as we are approaching the intersection, and then once we're through, it changes back to a normal signal cycle.
Do you anticipate any additional signals?
We do not.
So you don't envision one on your exit or where you're proposed?
So the only thing that we discussed with the County Department of Transportation was the installation of a flashing yellow light in each direction on the shoulder.
Yeah, so just a warning that the,
There's a yellow warning light, which would
Yeah.
also activate upon our dispatch and it's.
Okay, okay,
yeah.
gotcha, all right,
The lights are green, and move with the traffic.
yeah.
We're good for lights.
Is there a question online or something, or
It's ridiculous. Hey,
that's us?
Can we ask a question, like, where do all the cars that are parked on 83?
Where they can, where do they
Where do
go?
they
They
go?
can't move right or left, they can't let the fire truck through.
I mean,
If you go there, there is no way of those cars moving.
It's gridlocked up to.
Yeah, right, we have to go behind this, got it. So, fine, the lights are green, but it's bottleneck.
Have to
These
address,
big
we
vehicles
can't decide
cannot
that
get
now,
through.
neither can they.
What are you
Yeah.
gonna do?
You must run into that all the time.
Every day.
So what do you do?
So help us understand.
Do you go on the other
In
lane?
front of them, so it should clear that, but it at least gives enough room for the vehicles to move over, so. we
Because
can
the cars can't go anywhere.
Or we,
Would you please
move
let,
right on that.
excuse me, please
Yeah.
let him finish.
Okay, so it's no different than
on our daily.
Every other-
responses. Yeah, we
yeah.
have that at
bad
every
place.
day at the intersection of Old McHenry and 53,
Yeah.
at the entrance to 83 and 53, and at the intersection in question.
So, but some of these things would be vetted out if it went back to the plan commission, traffic study and things like that, that would come out, right?
It's not gonna come out any more than what we said tonight.
Okay,
A study is not gonna change any of that. We already have the studies, Jeff supplied some to us, the county supplied some to us. It's the same traffic we deal with every day, so there's no change.
So when you go on a call,
yeah,
I mean, maybe the narrative is something that could be added. When you go on a call, because I live around there also, that it's nasty, it's gridlocked, both rush hours, depending, morning and evening. Are cars actually able to make some motion? Are you able to, what's the experience there?
There's
There's usually.
can be a delay, I mean, most of the time, we're
Mhm.
able to clear the intersection so we can get through. It certainly slows us down if there's a lot of traffic.
Mhm.
We have to use the road network that we're given. We don't build roads, that's your responsibility.
Well, that was part of my question also is, what relationship do you have with the state to be able to say, okay, to try and effect any changes on 83?
We have, the most effect we have is that they allowed us to install our traffic signal control devices on their equipment.
I'm gonna say something, yeah, I was gonna say.
Hey, you can be optimistic.
Yeah, geez. We'll tell you when and.
He's got a uniform, I don't.
When and what we're gonna do.
He's got a uniform,
There you go. All right, so,
Can I ask you a question?
sure, please.
So what I see living in Bridlewood is those cars on 83 are going 50 miles an hour. So I understand that the light's gonna change and the cars are gonna move around, but if you're gridlocked and the person is, let's say somebody's in the right lane, they're trying to turn right, the fire people are trying to turn right, they're gonna get hit. I think you're gonna cause more problems at that intersection in particular because of cars trying to get out of the way. So I think in terms of effect on Route 83, I almost feel like you would have to change the speed limit, and I don't see that happening.
Thank you,
That
thank you.
applies to where, current, fire station, if they are coming off of 53 and making a 86, so if you get any comparison
Yeah.
of the time and the traffic, is heavy, that will make, probably some difference for you.
So let me stop this right here really quick. So, some of the stuff we're not gonna resolve tonight, right? And I think what I heard is, at least from everyone on the board, that we want to send this back to the plan commission with the information, and there may be additional information for them to reevaluate. We can't do that tonight. It would have to be done at the next meeting. And that also gives, the fire department time to think a little bit more about some of the things they heard tonight as well. I'd kind of like to, I don't know if the motion is to continue it. Vic's, speaking. Yes, Vic?
Yeah, if the sense of the board is to remand it, because that's not a final action, that's something that you can remand right now and just ratify it at the next meeting if we want to try to accelerate this. It's still going to be something that and it may not make a difference because there's a public notice and hearing, requirement. But, if that's the sense of the board, rendering that sense now can at least get us scheduling, the public notice to schedule a public hearing and move it forward.
So there can be a motion to remand it?
That's correct. And even though it's not for action tonight, you're not taking any action. You're sending it on.
I would so remand.
Okay, so there's a motion to, by trustee O'Reilly to remand it back to the plan commission.
Can I ask one question? Is their calendar free?
When's their next scheduled meeting?
The agenda available?
Yes.
I would propose that it would be the October 3rd meeting for that.
Okay, so they've got an open calendar.
There's pending items.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so there was a live motion to remand it back. Does anyone want to second it?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Tanucci. Roll call, please.
Trustee O'Reilly.
Aye.
Trustee Tanucci.
Aye.
Trustee Jamil.
Aye.
Trustee Chris Meyer. Aye. Trustee O'Connor.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Yes?
So it's going back to the plan commission, but I wasn't sure if I was hearing this right. The minimal requirements have been met, and I'm wondering from the village attorney, is the board's position that there need not be any evidence of impact of the property values, that there need not be an appraisal as part of the submission?
I don't know that that's our decision right here tonight.
I just want to know from the village attorney, you said all the minimal requirements were met, was that met?
There's
You hear the
never a
question?
requirement, there's never a requirement that an appraisal be presented in connection with any application. Some people choose to do so, some people choose not to.
So it can be based just on lay testimony, you're saying, to establish that particular factor?
It's a determination that the plan commission will make as a recommending body and that the village board will ultimately make in its legislative determination.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to keep us moving.
I'm actually asking if we can get a specific set of requirements that the plan commission is looking for to go to the next meeting. Otherwise, we're gonna spin our wheels and give you the exact same thing everybody has right now. So if there's something else that's required, we'd like to be notified of that.
Chair Wilson, do you want to comment on that?
I want it in writing.
It's spelled out
I
in
don't
the
want-
code.
And we have responded to everything that's spelled out in writing.
Yeah, so maybe we
I
can
think
get
that's
our two attorneys talk.
concern about,
Yeah.
they're different thing, because the code and the applying, I'm not questioning him, but the fact is, our code is very much written towards residences and businesses versus other government entities.
But they also received a memo from Art and from
True, yes.
Taylor, which set forth, the requirements, and I thought that was very well stated.
And that was responded to by our attorney in writing.
So-
Can you communicate with these two parties?
Yeah,
To
you know,
make
Taylor
sure
and I
that-
and Art will, and Taylor and I and Art and Dana will put our heads together to see if we can offer a little more thought for the fire protection district on where they are most thin and where they may want to consider supplementation, or at least be prepared to address questions more specifically.
You know, can I just
With all
throw,
due respect, that was said at the last meeting, and we did that. So I can't be a changing set of circumstances every time.
the last meeting, there was nothing to action, it was just a readout of, you know, from the planner's report, so we got our first read at it. We've got more information. I would suggest to you, just myself personally, let me speak if I may.
Yes,
is,
right.
one of the things I would love to see is just, even on a map, where is this thing actually going? We saw a drawing, but it doesn't, you know, on the parcel of land that you're looking at, relative to everything else there, how much is it occupying? I mean, there's just some basic things, a rendering of, what do you think just at a high level, a sketch even, rendering, what do you think the fire station's gonna look like? That doesn't cover the whole plat. Tell me that's the whole plot.
Absolutely.
Yes, it does.
It's the whole, that's all 5 acres right there?
That's 7.5 acres.
That's all 7.5 acres?
Yeah.
But you need to step back a little bit higher up, just so we can see it. I mean, I saw the diagram, it's good.
You need a drone.
Well, you can do that on a map.
This is on
Well,
top
yeah.
of it, this is
Yeah.
on top of the
Yeah.
Google map. I am sympathetic to, because and it's partly me as well.
Yeah,
There's a level of, in my head, it's almost like there's a grid. Okay, what's the minimum? All right, check, check, check. What is it that's gonna be needed so that they can actually, like, they're gonna have a finished fire station in 18 months or whatever?
right.
So, and where, because in between there is where the conditions can be. But if that minimum isn't even there, and that sort of in between, I think that's where I feel more comfortable having the planning commission looking at that. You know, if this, here is the minimal, but here's where it's gonna be, and they may come back with a yes,
And I-
if,
not-
they may come back with a no because, we may choose it the same way. You're studying, like, but I'm thinking of, okay, here's the minimum.
I'm trying to interpret.
Yes, in my head, here's the minimum boxes checked, okay?
Okay.
That say we can go forward preliminary. And our council is saying we have that.
Okay.
But he is also saying, there is no way we have, you know, ready to just like turn them loose. Here's all the things that are gonna be needed at the end. And so in zoning, or in draining and wetlands, in soil testing, and that, you know, based on their criteria, they must have at least done some sketch. Here's what we need for, you know, looking at the traffic configurations and so forth. Again, we're not gonna make them do a full traffic study, or maybe we will, but I don't know that they're gonna have the stomach for that time-wise. But I'm sympathetic to the idea that they think they've checked all the boxes, they're being told they've checked all the boxes, but we're kind of telling them, well, this one's just a toe touch, and here's what the real footprint will look like.
So
That would be
I'm
helpful.
gonna repeat myself again, though. So literally, okay, so we have this, I still wanna see it from some different angles. I also wanna see a rendering. I mean, what do you think the building's gonna look like? Just a sketch, right?
Why?
What? Because it's Long Grove, and it's, what is it gonna look like? Is it gonna be a really tall building? What is it? I don't, maybe it's all here.
We can't have the design phase until we have a roof.
The residents are gonna wanna, you're gonna have to make some assumptions, give them something to look at. Because right now, they're like going, they're thinking the worst, and that's what they're worried about right now. So how do you?
Worry about how it's gonna look.
At this
Our
point,
architect is here with us as well.
Yeah, we're not gonna get that done tonight. This is not something, but I'm saying that's something, just coming
The
back.
comfort.
Comfort factor, yeah.
Yeah.
It is, and it's not an unreasonable request.
so part of the problem is that we also have fiduciary duties to our own board of trustees and the public. And we don't think that in fact, we might think we're violating our fiduciary duties if we put a lot of money into, designing the building, coming up with all these plans, if at the end of the day, this is not.
We're not asking.
We're not, yeah,
We're asking for a facade.
all right, one question back here, sorry.
I think you have to go back, because it seems like to me you're kind of beating up the planning commission, as I was at all of the meetings. Mrs. Wilson and her group did a real good job of really asking the detailed, important questions, which did not get back to you, and that's fine. They went ahead, they studied everything. When a group of people trust me, this is our plan, and we responded, this may wind up with two attorneys in court with an injunction fighting this, because attorney A says, trust me, it's right, attorney B over here says, we've responded. You, as elected officials to the citizens of this community, have to stand up and demand, you're right, where is the architectural drawing? If I bought a lot in Long Grove and I just said, don't worry, I'm gonna build a 4-story house, don't worry about it, it's gonna be pretty, you wouldn't let me do that, you know it.
Thank you for the comment. I'm gonna pull it back to the board. I mean, I had to make the comment, because that's one of the things I would just a little bit more. And I mean, we do sketches when we were trying to envision what the downtown was gonna look like with this, you know, with the streetscape. We did a sketch, and I don't know, I mean, it does cost money, but we're not asking for full-blown architectural plans. Give us some rendering or something that we.
Bill, I think you said something really important too, and that I really, if we don't have enough to fill in, no, everybody will assume the worst if you don't if there's too many gaps. And we're not asking, I don't need that, you need it, I respect that, in terms of the rendering. But they need, we envision a two-story building. That would be.
The part I struggle with is, I might see that if this was, some business applying for it, but we're a partner government agency. I mean, we work in this village, we've been here since 1929. Why would you think we're gonna?
So Paul, how long have you lived in Long Grove, or how long have you been in Long Grove?
I don't live in Long Grove.
All right, so how long have you been employed in Long Grove?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. So one of the things, so there's like almost a culture here, and you're hitting it right now about protecting open space, large lots, and wanting to see that protected. And so there's a fear of this coming in and causing that land over there to turn into commercial development, and the residents there don't want it. They want to protect as much as possible. In our comprehensive plan, we talked about it, but we didn't contemplate commercial development. So a lot of this, besides everything else, there's this thing about trying to keep Long Grove the way Long Grove is. In fact, we were incorporated to fight off developers that wanted to come in and build us over and build big communities, right? So that's what we just have to work through this whole thing, and that's what you're up against. And I represent the residents of Long Grove in trying to figure out how we can work through this, because at the end of the day, there's benefits of having a fire station closer to them, right? If somebody had a heart attack and they could be there like that, there's benefits. But if they can't see or understand how it's going to fit into their community, that's what you're going to get. That's what you have here today. And I don't know what else to say, but that's how I feel, so.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
How many 6,000 square foot office buildings do we have in Long Grove?
How many?
6,000 square foot office buildings.
I don't think we have any, we do have a couple. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the vacant, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's interesting headquarters site, yeah.
It's just not, when I moved to Long Grove from Buffalo Grove, it's not what I pictured.
If I could add something, I always like to remind people in Long Grove, I've been here for 35 years. I was very careful about where I chose to build my house. And guess what I've got? I got Route 53 on one side, and I got a train track that was promised at 4 trains a day, and it now has 30. But isn't that a shame?
But that's the Long Grove couldn't stop that, that's government agency.
It doesn't matter,
Right.
it still impacts me,
It did.
and I learned to live with it.
You're correct.
Because I love water.
Anymore.
So we still have a full
Yes.
agenda. I'm gonna
sorry.
stop it here, and I will, if I've offended on either side, I will apologize. We're gonna try to do the best we can to work through this and see where it ends up, and that's all we can do. And I just thank everyone for being here, so, thank you.
I would suggest you bring 5 aside, say it's gonna be one of these.
To the plan commission?
Absolutely.
We won't be able to know what it's going to be until we do.
Then I will predict you've got trouble ahead.
We can't build it till we put it and all that stuff, so we won't know what the facade will look like. We can't.
Okay.
Until we have.
When you have a plan for any proposed, you need certain.
They can come up with styles, but for attorneys, we can attorneys.
Let's take this offline. We're gonna go in circles here, and
Yes.
I just thank everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm gonna move to the next agenda item. The village engineer's report presented by Engineer Perry.
Well, we're transitioning, can we turn up the temperature a couple degrees?
How about I just close the window that's behind me? Oh, my God.
Julie.
You know what? I can do that right now, Ken, look. Oh,
I was doing it, okay.
Pardon me?
I love these windows.
I practiced, I've got to close it,
Yeah, let's
but
Sure. Good.
The one thing I didn't say, I think you guys got to go back all the way to.
I am sympathetic because,
Changing the zoning, and you're ignoring the first and second on the list, which Jim Wilson.
The other thing is, you know, I'm probably not gonna make any friends on this, really fine, but
That is fine.
if we're gonna say yes to anything
The reason
that's
it's
traffic
because
and
you guys should look into that. What is the criteria?
things like advocacy,
Change the zoning, and are they or are they not meeting it?
not the middle of residential areas.
And if I put my house in Long Grove, I have to get that. Long Grove's special.
Yeah, you're on. Yeah, I hear you.
My friends used to call, Jen Herman used to call it the Good Samaritan.
Oh, you pray, and I've heard it to be nice.
That kind of station was there when Holt made all those moves.
Right. Yeah, thank you.
The illegal change, can we even change this? If the facts are no, then you stop.
Well, yeah, that'll all come out, so yes, okay, thank you, yes. All right, so, order, everyone. No.
They can do that.
Never use. All right, so the next item on the agenda is, can I,
So the light is white now.
George? All right, order. I've never used the gavel, I can throw it at you, actually. How about I throw it at you?
So if you wanna use, you can turn that thing over, there
I'm
you
not
go.
gonna use it, I will just, like I said, Village Engineer Perry, please provide us your report.
All right.
Another meaty topic, and we gotta keep going, we gotta be done by 9, so.
Okay, so I'll make it brief. So the village engineer's report is in the board packet, and, there's a number of things that were, updated since the last meeting. I want to highlight 3 of those tonight. First of all, we've got the Robert Parker Coffin Bridge, that's number 2 on the engineer's update. It's sustained a little bit of damage over the last couple of weeks. We're still waiting for Carmichael Construction to, provide us, both a quote and a schedule to come out there and fix it. Second thing, the road maintenance program, as discussed at the last board meeting, there was an interim deadline in there to have all of Long Grove work done by September 15th to avoid impacts with the downtown. Peter Baker and Son, they said that, they would be able to substantially hit that. I was not comfortable in talking with, interim manager, Art Wilson, he wasn't as well, so we made the decision, hey, it would be better to delay the downtown work to after the Prairie State Half Marathon is done, start that in early October. The other part of the project is in Creekside, and Peter Baker and Son is preparing to start that work next week, and that'll be probably about a 2 to 3 week project. So hopefully the residents in Creekside have got the resident notice for that. Okay, so that's good. So that's the schedule on that. We'll know, I'll keep the board apprised as work progresses through that.
So are the other streets going at the same time as Creekside?
The other ones will go after. So, I mean, everything else is pretty well bundled in downtown here. You've got Three Lakes, Archer, Robert Parker Coffin. So the ones that are going next week are Creekside, Arrow, and Tribal.
Okay.
What about Long Grove Road yet?
That's going to be with the downtown work, just due to the proximity. The work starting next week is kind of north Long Grove, everything else is kind of south. That's how geography works, right?
So that's after the marathon? They're gonna do it in conjunction with the downtown?
Correct. Yeah, and the other reason is both the work on Long Grove Road and the work on Robert Parker Coffin Road involve traffic signal work, work in proximity with those, so they want to do those together. So, the other construction project is the Osage Road Drainage Project. First order of business on any construction project is locating the underground utilities. We know that there is a 2-inch steel gas main on the south side of Osage Road. Contractor called USIC to locate that. USIC came out not once, not twice, but 3 times to locate that and still can't do that for whatever reason. So we are now
And we have to pay them all those times? Because
Nope.
they're really good about their billing.
No, we only have to pay if they, locate in, the downtown area where the village has a water main. So, so at this point, North Shore Gas has to come out there and locate that. Now, why it's not locatable by USIC, I have no idea, but this is the same thing that happened kind of on 53. If you remember, west of, Old McHenry Road, we wanted to move the, Welcome to Historic Downtown sign.
Yeah.
And it took 6 weeks to get that sign in there, and the reason was, in that 2-foot circle, they couldn't locate the gas main. So we had to wait for.
So Jeff, is there any risk of getting that done? Because we really, it needs to get done in the fall here.
This year.
Yeah, yes.
Well, the contractor's not going to dig, nor are they allowed to dig without the gas main located. So we'll continue to follow up with North Shore Gas and DK Contractors, on what that schedule is. But North Shore Gas is not committed to when they will be out there to locate that yet.
So is there anything we can do to, advance it so that it gets done before the winter? So spring is,
Let's see, I know it has liaisons with various utility companies, so.
Can we take that action?
Certainly,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
certainly a route to take. So I'll, coordinate with, Art on that.
Joe Tudor's in the back, he's raising his hand.
You know, I get a sense of indifference in poor planning. That's just my opinion.
Well, I mean, so all I will say, Joe, is that at the end of the day, we got this thing moving. You're gonna get the relief. We all honored our word on this one, and we're gonna get it done. So let's give him a chance, and it'll get done.
Winter's coming.
Yep, we know.
I'm digging a hole in my backyard, and I'm planting a giant tub in it. The pump. I have this one.
Well, Joe, again.
My land was wet until May. 2 pumps, as you know, running 24/7, 365 until May, before I dewatered my backyard. My property value got devalued this year by the tax surprise.
So all I will say, Joe, is we've taken all the measures, we're getting it done, and, I hope that, you don't experience any of that in the future. So it's on its way. We've made a lot of progress. All right, keep going.
Those were the 3 things I wanted to highlight tonight. If there's any questions, happy to take those.
All right, let's keep moving, because we have another meaty topic here too. So this one is discussion, consideration, approval of an ordinance adopting the watershed development ordinance amendments. As I understand it, there's really nothing in here that's been amended that really impacts us, right?
Yeah.
Jeff?
So just kind of.
We have no choice but.
Yeah, from time to time, the county updates their ordinance. There's 35 amendments at this time. There's a lot of procedural amendments, just to clarify grammatical errors. A lot of the amendments have to do with the coastal hazard area, which does not apply to Long Grove. And then there's, along with that, some of the floodplain studies got updated primarily along Lake Michigan. So nothing of consequence to Long Grove other than, a couple of the wetland regulations to follow the Supreme Court decision that came out in April are there. So then, just in summary on that, more wetlands are going to be local versus federal jurisdiction.
Okay.
Motion to approve? Go ahead, Rita. We got 2 moves, so,
I'll do second.
all right. So it was moved by,
Was that a
Riley.
motion or a question?
No, hold on a second. So it was moved by trustee O'Reilly, second by trustee Tanucci. Okay, so that's the motion. Question? Go ahead, Rita.
No, actually, I probably should keep my mouth shut. Since I opened my mouth, real quick. Jeff, are you referring to the Supreme Court case regarding wetlands, and it has to affect, actual flowing rivers and so on and so forth that just came down regarding the wetland situation?
You are correct.
Yeah, okay, all right, thanks.
Okay, moved by trustee O'Reilly, seconded by trustee Tanucci. Roll call.
Trustee O'Reilly.
Aye.
Trustee Tanucci.
Aye.
Trustee Jamil. Aye. Trustee Chris Meyer. Aye. Trustee O'Connor.
Okay, motion carried. All right, the next item on the agenda is discussion and consideration of a traffic calming solution, or a solution for Checker Road. There was a memo circulated, Village Engineer Perry, recommending that the speed limit be lowered on Checker Road from 30 to 25, and that if there was any, and additional, maybe some electronic signs, and if any type of traffic calming were to be done beyond that, it should be a speed table, right? So do you want to take us through that?
Certainly. So, there's a memo dated August 22nd, 23, just a one-pager, and that kind of references back to the beta testing that the village performed back in the fall of 2022 on Checker Road, just to count the number of cars, volume, speed, using Schaefer and Checker as a cut-through. So, in the beta testing, we looked at, electronic speed signs, speed tables, and a choker. All of those were effective during the test when they were up there. Like if there was the flashing sign, cars would slow down. If the speed table was there, they would slow down. All of them, once they were removed, traffic resumed back to where it was before any of that was installed. So the summary that we had is, and I should back up a second. So we had this in front of the board earlier this year, and the discussion was primarily that, hey, Buffalo Grove and Cook County are looking at the intersection of Arlington Heights and Lake Cook, and as part of that, they were documenting how many vehicles use this as a cut-through. We were promised the data, we were delayed the data, and then we were told we weren't going to get the data. And I think that's an important point because, there's a lot of subdivisions and areas within the village that have, not the same thing, but similar that, cars speed through subdivisions and there's cut-throughs. Osage has come up as one of those. So I think the village should be cautious and, documenting the known concern with, say, for example, the cut-through before, employing structural measures, with a speed table or a choker. So we know that speeds are excessive on Checker Road, and in accordance with IDOT's policy, the village is well within their rights to reduce the speed limit from 30 to 25. So that's what the one-page memorandum recommends. Pursuing electronic speed signs. If you, going back even to discussions last fall, the village, Long Grove borrowed those from the village of Killdeer. The village of Killdeer got those under a grant program, so instead of spending $11,000 on two of those, they spent, $1,000, I think was the number. So, the village could pursue and look at those grant opportunities at, $11,000 is quite a lot for two electronic speed signs. So I think looking into that and finding those opportunities before making a decision to purchase those would be a wise idea as well. In light of what Deputy...
Who's that?
The sheriff's deputy. He said, what's that?
Oaks?
No, that was here tonight.
Oh, Lieutenant Kaiser. Kaiser. I didn't know who you were talking about. You said deputy. Yeah, Lieutenant Kaiser.
I get forgiven because I'm short, but.
Oh, geez. Oh, we're on recording, so there we go. All right. What Lieutenant Kaiser was saying that the sheriff's office is getting traffic data on Checker. I think that would be a great data point as well, just kind of an independent kind of check of and verification, if you will, of the data from last fall.
I was one of those cars today that went through there.
At a reasonable rate of speed, I'm sure.
I was at 32 and it flashed at me, so yeah. Yeah, and I looked down, I'm like, oh no, I'm just going a little over.
Yeah, because I think that's also important because, traffic speed, volume, and things like that fluctuate, time of the year, what's going on, weather, cloudy day, all of that affects it. So I'm interested to see that data as well. But I think a good starting spot would be to lower the speed limit to 25, because although it services kind of as a collector road, it is designated as a local road, and that's what the speed limit is on other local roads in the village. So that's where our recommendation is on that, and I think that's a good point to continue the discussion with the board.
Do you have any further information on these grants that are available? How you apply for them? Is it a competitive grant?
Yeah, it's competitive, in the name of safety, that helps you score a lot better. That was primarily the impetus to do this beta test study. So, I'm gonna look into those, the timing and things like that, and what Killdeer had.
Yeah, I think that would be very helpful, because as you observed, when the devices are there, people slow down. We've seen that on Oakwood Road as well. Of course, when you take them away, then it's off to the races again. So I think it'd be valuable to look at putting those permanently on certain roads around the village.
I think moving them around.
I agree with Bobby. I think novelty matters also.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine too.
So there's a hand
But the point is,
raised.
you should own some and make sure they're put in particular places. And if that means moving around, that's fine, but.
Yeah, and that's what Killdeer does with theirs. Like every week, they move them around. Maybe complaint driven, helps with the location, but it does help slow it down.
Remind you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And they're always in a different spot, so you're always
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
where are they?
So there's a hand raised here, but I would ask the board if, before we go to the hand, if they have any comments.
Just to clarify, Jeff, so your recommendation is drop the speed limit, buy some electronic devices, ideally with grant funding, and ask for some additional enforcement, again, sort of complaint driven. And then hold our horses and wait to make permanent things like and if we did something permanent, you'd recommend a speed table. But you're actually not recommending a speed table at this time.
At this time, correct.
Okay.
So, we haven't got the data for the cut through, but that will be published in public information once the phase 1 engineering study is done, from Buffalo Grove and the Cook County DOT. No timetable on that. Their goal is early 2024, so maybe a year from now, 6 months to a year from now. So,
did I also understand correctly from your memo that if we were to put something like a speed table or a choker, that we would no longer be eligible for federal funding for that road?
So the federal funding, and this is where I referenced the collector road, that's made for higher volume roads. This is the program that was used to get 80% funding for North Kruger. So the criteria for that is a federal aid route. For that, it's a collector road that carries a large volume of traffic. This is the same. It's the same reason that Long Grove Road in Long Grove wouldn't be eligible because of the one lane bridge.
Right on the Killdeer border.
So we've checked in with IDOT on that, and they says, if the village wants to pursue federal funding for this road, that would need to be removed. So that was.
The whole road, not just that portion of it.
Correct.
So I think that's a yes.
Yes.
Even though it's not officially a collector road, it could sometimes be one, and then that would keep the options.
Mm-hmm, correct.
Bill, you gonna open the discussion?
Yeah, I will, yeah, I will open it up, but let me just get some initial trustee feedback, and then I'll open it up, and there's also a hand raised too, so. I don't know if trustee O'Connor has anything you want to share right now, or trustee Jamil, because we have not heard from you yet.
Well, Jeff and I talked about this afternoon again. I think it's important that we get the traffic count. It's we've been thwarted because Cook County doesn't have it. Apparently, they're going to have it, and when they get it, we'll share it with us. That it is dangerous. It's dangerous on many roads throughout the village. I like the idea of obtaining a grant to buy the flashers. They're temporary. They work temporarily, you know, once you take them down, people resume their habits. It would be a deterrent, lower the speed limit. And I think the only thing that would ever create a slower traffic along that road permanently are the speed tables. You know, but let's get the information and proceed once we get that.
Did you?
I agree with that.
Okay, got it. You do? All right, so there's a hand raised. Norbert, I'm gonna start there if we can, right? And then we'll.
Thank you. What I wanted to start off with is we've been at this since 2019, that we've been bringing this issue to the village. We've been waiting on data and metrics, essentially just moving the goalposts in terms of taking action on what's required. The problem with the cut through traffic is that it's going to be there regardless of speed reduction or additional flashing lights or what have you. The only effective measures that are going to be effective will be the ones that are going to deter the traffic from actually using that road, such as a speed table. Today, the traffic was backed up from Arlington Heights Road to Pheasant Run, which is more than half a mile. I don't know if there was an accident. The construction traffic is making the situation 6-7 times worse. It is taking us 2-3 minutes to cross Checker just to get to the bus stop. Cars are passing each other, even with the board that is currently at the intersection, the speed board. There is absolutely no reason the board or the village should continue waiting and kicking the can down the road. Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback. Did you have a comment?
Yeah, I'm a 45-year resident of Long Grove. I live in Country Club Estates, and the people in Country Club Estates feel pretty strong about relative to reducing speed limits. I used to shop in Kildare, and used to shop in Deer Park, and I don't go that way anymore. Because Kildare is 25-mile speed limit on Long Grove Road, and they're strictly enforced, like they say. My car coasts fast in 25 miles an hour, and then the choker adds to it. So I don't go that way anymore. I go to Buffalo Grove, but I go through Checker probably 2 or 3 times a day, maybe 4 times. I use the road. So how many people here use the road? You're trying to solve a problem, I understand, but first of all, how many tickets do you write on Checker? If we got a speeding problem, if everybody's going through at a high rate of speed, passing school buses or whatever, why aren't we writing tickets? That just baffles me why that's not being done. The next thing is, how much traffic on Checker is coming from Country Club Estates? And then the next development to the east of us. And how much of it is coming from Bay Cook Road, Stafford, to East Lawn on Checker? And have we thought about putting a no right turn? Or can you put a no right turn for 2 or 3 hours in the morning and no left turn for 2 or 3 hours in the evening? You know, now you pretty much stop it, or at least you control it. So, you know, don't isolate me in Country Club Estates or force me to move to Buffalo Road because I feel isolated. And that's the way I go in, the way I go out. That's a 30-mile speed limit. And you talk about, you know, traffic moving. There's a lot of traffic moves from these subdivisions out to Checker. So don't make Checker what you got over here on Long Grove Road. I don't go that way. And a lot of my neighbors feel the same way. I talk to them, they're very strong about not screwing up something that's working. So, you know, why can't you have a no right turn from 2 or 3 hours in the morning and no left turn for 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon? Now you kind of slowed that traffic down, taking it out.
So I'll just add one thing. I did actually put that on the agenda a number of years ago, and I filled this whole village hall for the exact same item, and it's been done before. They did have it once before, and George was gonna, former trustee Yeager.
By Karen's house on Chucker Road and,
How many cut-through checkers would do that?
well, there was a lot. She was really troubled by it all. All the people turn around on that, on north, you know, where Schaefer goes north there from Chucker. They pull in there, swing around and come back, and just to avoid that traffic. He was, no, but then, you know what, we gotta wait for the construction to be done on Lake Road.
But, okay, screw up checker in the meantime? You put a 25 off speed limit, you're not gonna bring it back up, are you? Sit with it. We, in country of states, we're kind of being isolated until lower speed limit. No, I'd like to know, the sheriff's department, do you write tickets on checker?
I'm not sure on the data, how many tickets.
We did do some, try to do some special enforcement several times too, yeah.
We've asked several, because especially after we had kids, I mean, they were going around stop school buses, kids were endangered, so I know we have.
I've seen school buses, I've seen them regularly, I've never seen a car pass a school bus. And there's a state law that you can't pass a school bus.
We know.
Yeah, we know, it's happened.
Do they have cameras in the school bus?
They're not, I believe they do.
But one of we've got a video of it, of a resident recorded at the school bus, having somebody pass with a stop.
Why didn't he get a ticket?
I don't know what eventually ended up happening with that case, but, it was on video, so.
Because I'm thinking, I think the school bus driver could take a license plate, right? Yeah, we make a citizen,
We get school bus drivers from all over the county, call the sheriff's office with license plates, and we follow up on those and try to identify the drivers. It's difficult being able to prove unless you're saying, we come to you and say your car passed the school bus, was it you driving? No.
maybe we need cameras. Pick people up that are going, excessive speed, but I just don't see it, so maybe, I'm going the wrong way, the wrong time, but I go back and forth there regularly, several times a day anyway. And I just don't see the problem. Now, I realize people living on Checker, maybe see it from a different light, but I've been there 45 years. That road has been there a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So the people that moved in there, you gotta realize this is a thoroughfare to take traffic out of here. So, I sooner see a no right turn, no left turn, something else to discourage people from cutting through. But don't penalize people like us.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. As I open it up, is there anyone else online that wants to make a comment? I don't want to, go ahead. It's Gary, I think, yeah?
Hi, thanks for letting me speak. I live on Shenandoah, just off of Checker, at the end of the street, and I'm seeing complaints of two aspects, congestion and unsafe driving. But the problem is lowering the speed limit to 25. Well, it's kind of collective punishment for everybody, including people who drive, say, 30 miles an hour, maybe 35. We all fudge the speed limit from time to time within reason. But I also think that lowering the speed, you're actually going to make the congestion worse because it's just taking cars longer to crawl through there. Now, someone made the point that 25 miles an hour is the standard speed for our local roads, but let's face it, that stretch of Checker really is not the same kind of local road as a local road that's going through development where kids are playing in the street or people walking their dogs. There's some of that on Checker, but really very little. Probably bicyclists and joggers are the main non-car things that I encounter, unless you want to talk about deers. You wave at as you drive by them slowly because you don't know what they're going to do. But I like the idea posted of making no right turn, no left turn, not for 3 hours, but probably about 2 hours, because that would cover most of rush hour, and it would be one way to control the cut through traffic without punishing the local residents who use Checker Road for our own purposes. And there was a mention of someone passing a school bus. Well, things like that can happen anytime on any street. And fortunately, it doesn't happen too often, but I don't think that isolated incidents like that should inconvenience hundreds of people, maybe 1,000 people, local residents who might use Checker Road, any more than it should affect people living in other neighborhoods. I mean, you could lower the speed limits on any street and put in traffic calming measures like it was mentioned on Long Grove Road, where there's that horrible traffic narrowing device 300 feet away from a stop sign, a separate stop sign, which all it does is makes the trip longer, and I don't think really solves anything. The flashing signs might be a decent idea, although even those can be distracting, and who knows if that could cause a problem in and of itself, but at least it would be like kind of a reminder to people to be careful and watch their speed. And maybe some people probably think, oh, if that thing flashes at me, maybe it's like a speed camera, even though it's not. But anyway, I oppose really doing anything other than maybe the no left turn, no right turn, as was suggested, or the flashing speed detectors, which are fairly benign. Thank you.
Thanks for your feedback. I'm going to try to pull this back to the board here. I'm looking for where you want to go with this. This has been going back and forth, and I think it was right. It was 2019. I think that's when I first put the no right turn sign on the agenda, build the Village Hall, all the way back then. I don't know if you remember that. And
I don't remember that, and I'm sorry I don't, because it seems like a good idea.
well, the issue is that people would then go left, turn around,
Maybe.
and go back. And so, but we had one before.
Yeah, there was 120-some years,
And it-
that's what came out. I don't remember that you could, but I remember people came in and said, we've been here long enough, this really, really didn't work the first time.
How long ago was this?
I want to say 20 years, do you know, George?
20 years later, it's going
The sign was taken down probably 10 years ago, but before that, it was up for quite a while. And like I said, Sharon Schulte, you can call her up and ask. She still lives there. And it was a hazard for everybody else to turn around, screw around. It was just a nightmare.
I've been here 45 years, I don't remember.
Well, it was you'd have to talk to Karen. She was the one most impacted.
Yeah, because I literally put it on the agenda. I'm like, why don't we try this? Let's take some action. Let's do a pilot. And then it was.
20 years later, let's try it.
No, I literally got this whole Village Hall was filled up when I put no right turn on, during whatever hours, just let's pilot, and we'll only do it one direction. And this whole Village Hall got filled up. I don't know, Chiki, you may remember, you were here. I did a presentation, showed how the traffic flows, because we know that the traffic flows, in the morning, it comes off Lake Cook Road, they make the left, then they make the right, down Checker and, go north, and in the evening, they go the exact opposite way. They come down Arlington Heights Road going south, they make the right on Checker, and then the left on Schaefer. And we had a traffic study that Vernon Township did, that we were able to get that information from, that, we used for some of that information. And that's where that's why this, and then COVID hit, and the traffic, really died, right? So then you have that lull. So we're that's, part of this is, that, we got a little bit of a break. Those school buses know, everyone was limited with traveling because no one was going to the offices. Now everyone's being forced to go back. And on top of it, man, that intersection looks like a mess at, the Arlington Heights Road and Lake Cook Road right now.
Oh, it's a mess and it changes all the time.
Changes all the time.
It changes every week or more.
So now it's getting really bad. And I came through at 4:30. There's a heavy amount of traffic at that time, and it.
Oh, no, that left is ridiculous. It's awful. It's always been awful. Even when there's no construction, that intersection is terrible.
Yeah,
Well, I don't.
Have already though, so we can, but we can.
A spot in Lincolnshire, I got a ticket there once, where you come out onto 22, and you can't turn left. Only turn right, and you're almost in the tollway. And so I I was practical, I went left anyway. But it diverted 22 traffic cutting through to Riverwood Fort Road, through a neighborhood. I don't know if it's still there, I think it is. Anyway, we have made Checker sound as if they are the only place in the world that has traffic. It's not. We have it everywhere. We have backups everywhere. We have speeding everywhere. And yet we're putting all this emphasis on one street. So I'd like to see us make a solution that will work on all the rest of the streets. Some of the streets that I drive, some of the streets that kids in my neighborhood have to go to. And do something that could be universal. Not a little bit here and a little bit there. And I don't believe in lowering the speed.
Okay. Well, who wants to go next? Anyone?
Lower the speed, get a grant for the flashing sign,
That's what you want to do? Okay.
which was basically a recommendation.
I would be in favor of that also, and I would ask, like, let's get some enforcement there, because that's the other thing that
Yeah.
Lincolnshire has going for them.
That's the third.
Everybody knows that they've got a 35 mile an hour on 22. They've got a 35 after Stevenson, and they enforce it.
Yeah.
Wait, what's the force?
The 35 miles an hour speed limit on Route 22 in Lincolnshire.
That's not what I heard. I heard that if they enforced it at 15 over.
No, they enforce it at 37.
Say something.
I haven't got, no, the guy I date who's got a big old truck, like, yeah,
Doug?
I've seen people stop.
Nope.
I think, the idea of go right turn during the busy hours, I think I like it.
Okay, so no right turn at busy hours, then it was already on the agenda and got shot down.
Yeah,
I
but
put it there.
20 years is 20 years. I mean, we've changed a lot in 20 years.
No, I
And
put,
I'm sorry about one person. I am sorry about them.
yeah.
But if it solves the problem,
That's the point, it didn't solve the problem.
yeah, but it's 20 years later.
20 years later.
No, maybe you've heard of the recent study where drivers in Illinois are some of the most aggressive in the United States of America. So we have to understand who our audience is. Our drivers are super aggressive, which means they don't stop at anything. So that's
So
what you're
then what are
getting
we doing? What are we trying to do?
Well, that's
If we can't
enforcement.
stop them anyway.
It's enforcement.
So,
What are we gonna, have one park out there and forget the rest of the
Well,
neighborhood?
speed and watching the school buses, that's what you're doing. Safety, you're really there for safety. And the cut-through is gonna drop once the construction is done. Right now, it's the construction.
Then why not try the, no right turn for 2 hours in the morning, and all that turn 2 hours in the afternoon, see what that does? What do you have to lose?
well, again, I put it on the agenda, pilot program, and I got shot down like you wouldn't
Pushes the
believe.
problem
So,
somewhere else.
Carry in the road, that's what
And you guys drive on Checker?
Yeah.
Where do you live?
Yeah,
we've closed other roads.
yeah. And, here's
That
an,
was being bring them out.
here-
That would fill the room.
So-
Do the school.
That would fill the room.
so I didn't realize that Schaefer Road is only 25 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. So I just was thinking that it was, 30, right? But I went through there today.
Who drives 25 and Schaefer?
I
Yeah.
do.
So, well, no, I watched somebody just go flying,
Right.
as I came up to the stop
You're
sign,
doing one thing.
as I came up to the stop sign to make the right on Checker, I almost got clipped by a car just making the left turn. I don't even know if they stopped at the stop sign, because they were just flying right through. So there's people going through there really fast. Now, I mean, we'll ask Lieutenant Kaiser to speak really quickly about, code enforcement maybe, and, speed enforcement.
Yeah, so somewhat to Trustee O'Reilly's point, that there's a lot of roads, and we have 12 square miles in Long Grove, and we have one deputy that's working day shift and the night shift, and we can't expect that person to be everywhere all the time. So as complaints come in, the deputies move around to different areas within Long Grove to do enforcement, and then they're in the middle of that, you can get called away to go take a barking dog complaint, or we're somewhat limited, and even when the police are in a neighborhood or we're on a road, drivers change their actions.
I love the flicking of the lights. I never have understood that. Why people driving this way flick their lights to let them know that somebody's back here.
Well, now there's a Supreme Court decision that says that.
Is it legal?
It's
No,
legal.
Oh, it's legal. But I, no, I
And you
don't.
can do it now.
I don't understand. Why would I tell that guy that I don't know? They have a trouble.
So the other thing that we tried to do, and it's a staffing issue, is do some special details, right? So we can pay somebody to periodically do the enforcement.
Do they have to be your people?
They would be their people, well, they don't, I guess they don't have to be, but I probably suggested they should be.
Do they have to be?
I'm not sure what
The question is, could we use a neighboring police department to do that enforcement?
I would not suggest it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the, code allows for Long Grove with that and contractually, but,
Vic might say, I don't
The-
know.
the sheriff's office.
Contract, we have a contract.
it's
with
something
the
that
sheriff's
we offer
department.
for several communities.
We have to use them for special.
We routinely have, traffic enforcement details throughout the county in the village of Wadsworth, the village of Third Lake.
Do we have to have, for enforcement, do we have to have a fully sworn officer?
Vehicle code, yes.
Would we have to have a sworn officer to give a warning or even stop somebody? That's not.
Not quite.
Never mind.
So I don't know where we go here tonight. We just lost, Ian. It's, where do you want to take this, everyone? So,
I kind of think with all the construction and everything, there's less traffic. Let's try the right in, right out, left out.
oh my God, I'm so dead set against that. I cannot tell you.
Yeah,
I literally had it on the agenda and this room was full. So we,
What was complaining? There was a lot of homes along that are affected.
yeah, it was
So the state wasn't.
no, it was because of the turning around and that it caused, right? People they just go and, in fact, we have it up by you, so.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a left on arrow only, northbound 83 at Gilmer, and because of that, people turn right on Gilmer, it's called Oakwood at that point, and make a U-turn and almost clip people every time. So you have dozens of people making illegal U-turns. So when you stop traffic from doing one thing, you're effectively encouraging them to do a different wrong thing, which sometimes is even worse.
All right, so that, we have one to try the no right turn again. We're not advancing the ball at all on this. Now, this notion of the speed, electronic flashing signs and things like that, that's something.
Find some more information on that, so.
I think we said,
On a grant.
Good idea,
Flashing
to
lights
have
and
some,
special details, everybody
move
can
them
read.
around the
Yeah.
village.
I think we should have them.
Go ahead, what? Go ahead, Rita.
you know, this is a circular discussion every time we have it. My observations and what I'm hearing every time is, I don't want to be inconvenienced, whether it's a resident, whether it's a school bus driver, whether it's a parent, I don't want to be inconvenienced. And I think this is one of those situations where this is a community issue. It's not about me, it's not about you, it's about safety. And the construction on Lake Cook Road has made this worse. The parents who insist upon driving their children to school instead of putting them on a school bus make it worse. It's a combination of things. 10 years ago, people didn't give themselves they didn't feel as entitled to pass you on the shoulder of I-90 going 95 miles an hour, or to pass a school bus on a 2-lane road where there's no shoulder. They give themselves permission to do all of that stuff. The flashing lights will slow people down temporarily. Yeah, if we could get 2 of them for $1,000 or $2, because we got a grant, we move them around the village, it's a temporary solution. The only thing that's going to make a difference is a permanent solution. And you can't close off the roads. for emergency vehicle purposes, that something like speed tables is the only thing that's going to slow people down. And that's not going to be perfect, because once they slow down, they're going to speed up to make up their lost time. Because as a society, we give ourselves permission to do these kinds of things. So, you know, the traffic count is important. Is it going to be the deciding factor? I don't know. We keep putting it off. All we need is one kid or human to get hit. And we're all going to sit here and go, gee, coulda, shoulda, woulda. And Bobby's right. It's on every street in not just our village, all over the northwest suburbs. It's affected life. So, you know, if we get traffic counts and that's going to allow us to put in speed tables, I'm all for it. In the interim, if there's some inconvenience, frankly, I couldn't care less. You know, you don't know what you're preventing until something happens. So I have a real problem with some of the discussion. We can't give police enforcement 24 hours a day. They got more important things to do, frankly. Traffic accidents, robberies, so on and so forth. I mean, we all know that. So, you know, what do we do in the interim? If we're not going to take care of this as a community, and I, again, from what I have read, the people who speed through subdivisions, the majority of them live there because they feel entitled because they live there. You know, and you can't stop every car and say, where do you live? Where are you coming from? So on and so forth. All of these things are issues. It's never going to be perfect. I would like to see it safer on all of our roads. And if we start with this one, I'm all for it. And to me, that's following Jeff's current recommendation. Let's get the first, you know, now we got to get a grant or borrow the flashers from Kildare. They work temporarily. We all know that, only temporarily. Okay, fine. You know, and hopefully the construction's over. We get traffic studies and we make another decision. But I think it's something we got to deal with, not just on this road, but all of our roads if we can. I'll be quiet now.
Thank you for your feedback. Anyone support or not support that idea?
I just want,
Yeah.
You couldn't care less. Obviously, you don't live in Shenandoah, you don't live in the country of state.
I live off of Long Grove Road and I watch people blow the sign at Nolan Long Grove Road and they blow the choker as well. I see them going 45 miles an hour down Long Grove Road, which is 25 miles an hour every day.
We should be issuing a lot of free tickets, so maybe we need more help from the sheriff's department. It would be self-sustaining, it would probably pay for itself.
No.
Okay,
I
so
would
we're,
I'd like to invite anyone to come to the intersection of Checker Road and Pheasant Run, 7:45 during the weekdays to experience it yourselves. If there's any doubt of the unsafety of what is happening with the traffic, that will be quickly addressed by you spending 5 minutes at that intersection.
That way this morning is 7:45.
I will not be okay if we don't do something tonight.
okay, so you want to do something tonight, okay. All right, what do you want to do tonight?
I want to move forward on getting electronic stuff. I want to lower the speed limit there, and I want to ask the sheriff. Of course, you can't park there. I'm practical. Can we emphasize some things there?
Could you look at it as hiring outside, hiring off-duty officers to not only do checkers, but the community on an annual basis or a monthly basis? See if it's beneficial.
Oh, yeah, I kind of disagree with you on that we're not acting as if it's only checker, but I completely agree that everything, we need to attend to other roads too, but it can be one at a time. One will be first.
Well, if this took 4 years.
We just explained partly why.
The kids will be grown up and we'll have a whole new batch of kids. So, no, I don't want to wait 4 years.
That's not what I would suggest.
And wait for checkers to, you know, get done. so that my neighborhood can be,
That's not what I was suggesting, and you know it.
well, I would like to see us on a monthly basis hire, whether they're off duty or what do you call them?
Special details.
Special details. And see if we can get a program working, traveling around different times of day. I see it. If you're blind and dumb, if you don't see it, Diamond Bike Road, oh, cow.
Yeah, one of the conversations that we've been having, we heard tonight that they've got, job ads out for 30 people, right? So, one of the issues we've had is we can't fill those special details. So, right now, but hopefully there'll be people to do that in the future. And that is one of the things that it needs to be done. I mean, regardless, when we can't solve it all with having the roads patrolled all the time, but if you started doing a little bit, people start getting nabbed. It would get out there that I got caught speeding, cutting through, and it'll slow them down. And it has to move a little bit around the village, but if we hit that area pretty hard, it'll get out there.
Yeah.
And I don't think any Long Grove resident's gonna be upset as long as you don't get a ticket, right? Yes. But if you're going the speed limit, right, or thereabouts, right, I don't think anyone's gonna, if you're going 32 like I was, somebody's gonna pull me over, right? Oh, they might. As village president, you're going 32 miles an hour and 30. It was unintentional, but I was trying to navigate the road, and so I mean, something like that. They need to be staffed up to do it, and there's all.
That's why I asked about going outside of the department and getting people that way. And as you're talking, and as I was talking earlier, I don't want somebody who's not informed. There are too many dangers out there. But what about if they looked at retired to be doing traffic kind of like, and this is not for Checkers, this is for Long Grove.
Yeah.
So it's something to think about.
Something to think about. Yeah, we're not gonna solve that one tonight, so.
What are we gonna solve?
Well, I heard somebody wants to take action, it may not please everyone. You wanna take action?
Right.
That's
One
two.
Okay.
Okay, so first off, let's just start. So, does somebody wanna make a motion to change the speed limit on Checker Road from 30 to 25?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so it was moved by trustee Kritzmeyer and seconded by trustee Tanucci.
Trustee Kritzmeyer. Aye. Trustee Tanucci.
Aye.
Trustee Jamil.
Aye.
Trustee O'Connor.
Oh, you're muted. You had PC problems. You're talking. We can't hear you.
No, lucky battery you have. Aye.
Did you hear the motion? Aye, okay, good.
Aye, aye.
And Trustee O'Reilly.
Okay, so it was 4 yeses, right? So motion carried, yes. All right, secondly, who wants to go out and make a motion to go out and either get grants or funding to put the speed signs up?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so moved by trustee Riley, seconded by.
Did you want that on did you want her name on?
Did you motion that, Rita?
Are you having trouble hearing me tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, put the speaker closer to me. My volume's on. Yes, I did make a motion.
Okay, so,
On it, she's froze.
all right, so moved by trustee O'Connor, seconded by trustee O'Reilly. You okay with that?
I don't care.
Okay.
Trustee O'Connor.
Aye.
Trustee O'Reilly.
Aye.
Trustee Jamil.
Aye.
Trustee Kritzmeyer.
Aye.
Trustee Tanucci.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. All right, now, the last one is more complicated, which may require traffic studies first, but is anyone ready to make a motion to put speed tables in?
Not yet.
Wasn't it recommended not to do that?
Correct, I'm asking the question. Yes.
We have a trained professional.
What'd you say, Rita?
Jeff,
Yes, you'll make a motion?
can we get temporary speed tables?
Can I make a comment before that's voted on?
I wanted
Yes.
to ask Jeff a question. Can we get temporary speed tables?
Yes, those were temporary speed tables, and Village still has them, they're stored at our office right now.
We used them for
There's two of them.
for the testing last
Correct.
year.
I thought that goes against the grant, getting grant.
How many do we have?
So,
Two.
Does the temporary speed table go against getting the grant?
No, because you can take that out.
Just a permanent.
yeah, and the other thing you have is during the snow, it's not those.
Correct, and that's what I was gonna say, you know, a permanent speed table, it's made out of asphalt, concrete, usually concrete, but the temporary is rubber that's bolted to the pavement, so you don't want that out there. Or, you know, you need to make sure that the snowplow operators are very careful around it.
Yeah, I learned firsthand in our neighborhood, so, yes.
While Lake Cook is under construction, and we feel that that's causing perhaps more traffic than we usually get during the school year, can we use those and then make a judgment when the snow flies and snow plows and so on and so forth? But can we use those currently to see if those are going to be helpful to the problem? Is that possible? Is that reasonable?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they were out there for 2 weeks during the beta test. We know that the vehicles slowed down. We actually saw less cars through there, fall 2022. You know, an extended period of time, would cars still slow down, through those? You know, the small test says yes. Like I said, you know, the rubber part of that, you know, does, raise some concerns during snow removal operations. Is that something the village wants to, you know, kind of do an extended beta test on the speed tables? I did say that that is the structural measure that I would support.
Okay, so.
Do we own those?
We
own those?
Possible for us to do that for the next 60 days. That takes us to mid-November, which is about when we get the first snowfall. Can we do that and see if we get better results?
We could, I mean, is there support for that?
Seasonal changes do affect that.
I'd like to comment.
There's hazardous to the drivers.
What?
One more time? Sorry, I was trying to listen.
Winter, do we have to take that out? Is it hazardous to the drivers?
I would recommend you take them out in the winter, to avoid, you know, an incidental snowplow clipping it and it ended up in somebody's front yard. Because these things come in pieces. They're all 2 foot by 4 foot pieces. They're put together and bolted separately. Now, they're connected, but could they come apart in just a little piece? Absolutely.
What does it take to mobilize those? I mean, is that a day? Is that 3 days or?
No, the township put them up in a couple hours. There was a little learning curve to them the first
Okay.
time around, but, they know the process. I would say they could be put up in
Jeff, I
less
didn't
than
know
half a day.
I didn't know we own those. We could have been moving those around the village.
I wouldn't recommend, there's a lot of bolts.
Okay.
And not only
Okay,
that,
not here on the checker.
No.
Not so much for checker. It could be too much for others, you know?
no, the other issue you have with those though is if those things come unglued, those bolts will pop tires. So,
There's a chance of skidding too.
The bolts are recessed 1.5 inches below. There's,
I know, but we personally experienced it at our HOA, but anyways.
Yeah.
I get, but I'm sorry, I did not know that. Like, we could have, maybe not willy-nilly all over, but they could have been up on Osage. They could have been up on Dime Lake, you know? I didn't know that.
That's not our road.
Oh, fair, okay.
There's a comment online, Gary's been trying to make a comment, Gary, go ahead, so.
Oh, thank you. I just want to say, you know, when you were talking about, we have to be careful with the snow plows. I think that the speed tables could be extremely hazardous at night to all drivers, not just someone operating a snow plow. And if it doesn't take much snow to cover them up, somebody coming down the road after, say, 1 inch of snow hits one of those things with no idea that it's there. And you can, I know that they put up a sign, but that could get covered with snow too, or it's harder to see at night. And there's all this concern for safety I'm hearing tonight, but you put in something like that, you're creating another safety hazard for the motorists themselves. Even if they're just going 30 miles an hour, you hit one of those things, and it takes you by surprise, you could very easily crash. And then what are we going to say if that happens? Oh, we shouldn't have put the speed table in. I just think it's going overboard. It is an overreaction to a problem that exists on roads all over the suburbs. Thank you.
Well, in the city of Chicago, and I don't know how many neighborhoods, they have speed bumps all over the place to keep
Me
people.
too, so, yeah.
So the speed tables, they're designed to slowly ramp up the car and then slowly ramp it down. It's not, you know,
It's flat and.
you know, for a projectile, and that's why they're designed that way.
How many,
And then the other thing is there's reflective markings on those, or on the incoming side, if you will. So, so it would be there at night, but the sign is a great, thing to put up there too, you know, speed table ahead.
all right, so let me ask the question, and I know this is gonna get interesting, but, we have these, how many do we have? Do we have? Two, so they can go in two spots? Two spots, so. And we could, put them up for 60 days before winter and then take them out. And how would we observe the effectiveness over that period of time?
I think
So we could either,
Go ahead.
I think the neighbors would tell us.
Bill,
We live there.
hello.
Hello.
Hi, Bill, this is Terry Crowley. How are you?
Good, Terry, how are you?
Good. I just have one comment. I live at Edgewood Lane, which is 1 block west of Checker and Schaefer. The temporary no turn lanes, not good. Turn around in my street. It's a private street. Secondly, we're doing all this without any input from the people that are west of that intersection. No survey, no questionnaires. How do the people feel about it? We're just making random decisions with no input from the people. That's the only problem I have with it. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. Thank you. Okay, so we told we take this in chunks. So does anyone want to make any further motions or stop here?
Rita was trying to talk.
Oh, sorry, Rita.
I make a motion that we put the speed bumps in for the next 60 days.
Okay.
Speed tables for the next 60 days.
Speed tables for the next 60 days. Motion by trustee O'Connor.
Particularly since we have construction on Lake Cook and it's making bad matters worse. And if you go, if you're going to speed limit, the speed table shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, so,
I will second that.
Thank you.
all right, so we have it, it was moved by trustee O'Connor, seconded by trustee Kritzmeyer. Roll call.
Trustee O'Connor.
Aye.
Aye. Trustee Jamil?
Aye.
Trustee O'Reilly?
No.
Trustee Finucci?
Aye. Okay, motion carried. I guess we're gonna find out how this is all gonna work. Sorry. Yep. Sorry?
Rick is up there.
Oh, yeah, he's gonna be, executive session. Yeah, he's here. Yep. All right, so, the next item is, we can't talk about it right now, because we,
If I may ask Jeff a question?
yeah, sure.
So I will say, Jeff, I've been talking to some of the residents in question about the driveway culverts, and a couple of questions have come up on a total minimum of 12 inch. They've asked me, is plastic okay, smooth, corrugated, and then does it go in at the same level that their old culvert is in?
the village code, does not require a specific material. Village code policy does require end sections on it. And then there are, code requirements on that. So there's a lot of them that are very shallow and you get the little speed hump over them. So, for village code, that's not allowed. So I would have to look up that specific depth, but it's in the code under driveway culverts.
Okay, so it has to be so many inches below the.
Correct, which is the purpose of doing all the re-ditching as part of the project.
Right, and when I talked to them, and they said when, they heard when I told them that all this was gonna go, they actually then had mentioned about, should they just wait until the contractor comes through? The whole reason I'm asking this is because we know the front yard of 7056 floods because of the culvert across the street.
So we've reached out to the contractor as well to, see if they can work, homeowners can work directly with them to replace the culverts in conjunction with the project. Wouldn't be part of the village project, but hopefully that would be a good opportunity to do the two things in tandem, one contractor.
Correct, and I told them about that, but like I said, they're starting to ask questions and want to get this done, so my ask for you, is it beneficial for them to start the process and replace it before the work is done?
I think it would be better than, because if you put them in with the depth and stuff like that, they'd be partially or almost all buried.
And then the question comes is, and now we're waiting on Nicor Gas, so it looks like a possibility that this job might not get done this year, which means that in the springtime, the front yard of 7056 is gonna flood again.
Well, DK Contractors is telling us it's a one-week project to put that in there, to put the pipe in there and do the ditching. So, yes, it is September 12th, but, I'm hopeful, working with the village liaison, that, we can expedite and put some impetus, fire under North Shore Gas's, schedule to get that marked so we can proceed.
So if they get that marked on Tuesday, and they start on Thursday?
I think your timeline 2 to 3 days later is accurate.
So I should basically tell the residents that I've been talking to that may ask me questions is that they'd be better off to wait for conjunction with the contract.
Yep.
Thank you.
Will there be any notification given to those residents? And will the contractor then initiate contact with those to see if they're interested?
Correct, the contractor will do that.
So that's in the program?
Yep.
Good.
So we've worked out to them. Yep.
Okay, so we've got somebody waiting, for executive session. We have, we're gonna skip number 19. And we have, I have no report tonight. Trustee Borowski doesn't have one. Trustee Jamil, do you have a report? Trustee Kritzmeyer? Trustee O'Connor, do you have a report? I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay, good. Trustee O'Reilly?
No.
Trustee Tanucci?
No report.
Is there anything from the village manager's side?
Just real quick.
Sure.
Very quick. Apologize for the late manager's report. I did send it out Friday PM, and some things did go up, but apparently not that. I'm gonna try to figure out what happened with that. The board, thank you for those that you've sent revisions to the old recruiting description. Please keep sending them if you haven't already. And lastly, I'm thinking the meeting on September 26th will probably be much easier and faster.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so I look for a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel matters. Moved by Trustee O'Reilly,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Kritzmeyer. Roll call, please.
Trustee O'Reilly? Aye. Trustee Kritzmeyer?
Aye.
Trustee Jamil?
Aye.
Trustee O'Connor? Trustee Tanucci?
All right, motion carried. Thank you.
Just sign these,
More
we're done, just leave it
signatures?
here, yeah. You can do it after.
Okay. Is Blue
Rick
Ink
will
okay?
go into executive session here shortly, so.
Michelle, is that a black?
I've got a black one.
Black, thank you.
Double check before I do it. I think that's.
Thanks for being here, too.
Yep. Thank you.
Good night. Yeah, we'll, thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Taylor, leave already? I missed that.
Yeah, he must have snuck out. Let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and, can we shut that camera off down there? That PC, can we just flip it off?
Do you want me to?
Just,
Windows.
shut it down and, or leave that. Hey, Dana, can you get that, can you exit the meeting? Thank you. And then just shut it down, yeah.
Dina, today's date is okay with this?
Pardon?
Today's date is okay with this? Okay.
Okay.
Bill, can
I'm sorry?
you hear me?
I can.
Is it poor? Am I coming in quietly, poorly?
Yeah, you're coming in kind of broken up, and I think it's your microphone on your PC, but that's my guess, so,
Yeah, the audio is choppy.
yeah.
Maybe it's my,
But I'm gonna go ahead, yeah, go ahead.
maybe it's my connection here, my internet connection.
All right. Well, I'm gonna put us into a breakout room and go into executive session. Stand by. Okay, we're back in, regular session. Let's make sure we can hear everyone. Rita, can we hear you? I can't hear you, you're muted again.
Do you want me to throw it?
Yeah, unmute, please. There
I
you go.
got, yeah, when you switched me, I got muted, so, yeah, can you hear me?
I can, yeah. So, the question is, what does the board want to do? Do you want to move forward with, HR Gov, or do you want to move forward with somebody else, or what would you like to do?
I want to hire him.
I do too.
All right, Rita, what's your,
I like his background. He's been through it, you know? He seems seasoned, he seems real. And fortunately or unfortunately, he'll get to know us soon enough.
okay,
I know you had overlap with him. Was it positive?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
they
you
both
can work
work.
with him.
They both work, yeah.
Okay, you can work with him.
okay, so Vic, help me, how do we do this, motion? Vic? You're muted again, so unmute.
Your lips are moving, but we can't hear you.
There's a joke there somewhere too.
There's a lawyer.
Yeah,
Yes, there is.
I'm sure that there is. The motion would be to approve the resolution that's in the packet with GovHR as the consultant, and based on the proposal they had submitted.
Okay, so who wants to move that?
But the,
All right,
but the numbers, in there, right? You wanna-
Per the proposal.
The proposal was, at Mad Libs, fill in the blank.
But there were some additions that they had there, and I'm not sure, Vic, how to handle that. They had some add-ons if they wanted to add them, but they could always add them later, right, I suspect?
I think
Well,
we say it,
If you look at the resolution still has,
Proposal.
the threshing of the final term. So to the extent that there's some ambiguity as to what those extras are and how they would be wrapped into this, that's something that we can talk about more specifically in the context of the agreement.
And didn't
And
that,
it could say,
that kind of had to do with out-of-staters, I think. No? Anyway, sorry.
I did not understand.
it's something about it had to do with out-of-staters, but I don't know. Did you, who's got them?
oh, here.
This is the,
Yeah, there's a base fee, that 24.5 is the base, and then they had some additional ones, and you just, we can always,
I mean, the contract can say that nothing above the base fee will be pursued without express written consent of the village president or something like that. So, I mean, we have a way of controlling it. We just need to put that in the agreement that comes along with the proposal. And you'll see that in the resolution, there's a specific reference to having those final documents ironed out.
okay, so it was moved by trustee O'Reilly, seconded by,
Second.
seconded?
Second.
Seconded by trustee O'Connor. Roll call, please.
Trustee O'Reilly.
Aye.
Trustee O'Connor.
Aye.
Trustee Jamil.
Aye.
Trustee Chris Meyer. Aye. Trustee Tanucci.
Aye. All right, motion carried. All right. I would like a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by trustee Jamil and seconded by trustee Chris Meyer.
Good.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Jamil.
Yes, to adjourn?
Trustee Chris Meyer. Aye. Trustee O'Connor.
Aye.
Trustee O'Reilly.
Aye.
Trustee Tanucci.
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, good night, everyone.
It didn't rain.
good night, hope you're feeling better.
Yeah, I'm fine right now. I'm just hoping I don't have something